Buongiorno. This video is to give you some general information about traveling in Italy, particularly how the train system works and a little bit about buses. And the context will help you be a successful traveler. So, the first thing I think is important to know is you should know about the frecce, the arrow trains or bullet trains, we might call them in English. And there's a series of fast trains that go up to 300 kilometers per hour. That's 180 miles per hour. And they hit the major metropolitan areas, right? Medium sized cities, large cities, and they don't stop a lot in between. They can be a bit pricey, and you'll find that you need a reservation for them, but they're very nice. Here's the extended system where all the different frecce happen to go. So you can see the cities listed on this. You can find more information about this on the Train Italia website listed right here. They have an English version, and you can buy tickets there as well as on an app. But I'll cover that in just a moment as we get further along. Here's the different categories of the freccia that you have. You have the freccia rossa, the freccia argento, and the freccia bianca. And they're just different lines that go to different cities in Italy. Some of them travel faster than others. And here's an example of a screenshot from the website where you can see how you could buy a ticket. So it says from and to the date. You can search and you can make your reservation on their website, or there's a convenient app to do it. So you can do it right on your phone. And that's how I prefer to buy tickets when I'm traveling, particularly on a freccia or a high-speed train. You should know, however, when you're making reservations that strikes are not entirely uncommon in Italy. In fact, they're quite regular. So they're so regular that they're published on Trenitalia's website. So if you go to the website, you can find information about strikes. And there are guaranteed trains or guaranteed transportation that you can find on the website as well. Buses are also alternatives if the trains aren't working because of a strike. So you want to make sure you plan in advance because it does create a little bit of chaos, and sometimes Italians are caught off guard as well. So here, once you get to a train station, what do we see? Well, at the top here, we see Milano Centrale, and that's right above destinazione, meaning destination. Uh, so this train goes to Milano Centrale, the central station of Milan. Partenza is when it departs. It leaves at 13:18, which is 1:18. Make sure you know that 24-hour clock. I actually think it's great that they use it with transportation in Italy because you're not going to mix up a morning train and an evening train by mistake when you're making a reservation or when you're trying to board one. And we see that this is a Freccia Bianca. This is a fast speed train. And what else can we look here? Well, we see at the bottom, we see this number one. That's binario. Binario means a track where you wait for the train. And then we see partenze, departures. Partenze on this list below here, the train numbers. Destinazione, where they're going, the destination. Orario, the scheduled time of departure. We see RIT for ritardo, meaning late, and thankfully nothing's late here. BIN for binario, which is the binario, the platform it's leaving from, listed on this side. Here's an old school train schedule, and you'll see these printed up hanging up on the walls in train stations. And I think they're really interesting, and they can be quite helpful, even though we might look at the electronic boards. They're interesting because they have the BIN, the binario, the track that the train typically leaves from the platform, rather than it would typically leave from. Now, the platforms are not always announced, so you could anticipate and just that the train might leave from its regularly scheduled platform, and they move around. But if you start with where it's supposed to leave, you might at least be headed in the right direction in terms of where it's going to leave from. And then we see here's an intercity train, right? So that would be a slower train. It stops, obviously, it's slower because it stops all over the place. But let's say that you're going to one of these cities in between here, like Trani, and you could see that this train is a train for Lecce. It's a train that's headed for Lecce, which is a larger city. It gets to Lecce at 16:48, which is 4:48. It leaves at 8:23 in the morning. and we could see, or 8 o'clock in the morning rather, and at 8:23 we can see its first stop, and it keeps going. So you could find out which train you would need to be on in order to get to any of these cities in between. And then next we have where you can buy tickets. There's a couple of different places to buy them. One would be the ticket counter. You see a billetteria right here. Billetteria is great if you have some questions, you're not sure what you're doing, you want to understand all the different trains you could take, when they could leave, and you're not sure of yourself, this could be a good place to go. And then second, we have the electronic ticket vendor here on the left where it says Billetti right here, and you can purchase a ticket from a self-service. These work well, I think, if you're getting a ticket maybe for a regional train or something. They can be a bit tricky to navigate, so I'd give yourself some extra time if you're using them, um, and sometimes taking payments and so forth. But it's another way to place a ticket, and folks use those as well. But personally, I prefer the app. So you can download this on your phone. Make sure you download the official Train Italia app and not something by some sort of third party where they're charging you a fee and you don't know exactly what you're getting. But this is it right here. You can look up, different journeys that you might want to take, and then you can buy the ticket right there with a credit card. Now, on the right, I have someone sticking a ticket into a machine. What this is for, and I also have a post-it note here with some times written on it. This is the low-tech solution. So if you're taking a regional train, a local train that's not going, from Rome to Naples or Rome to Milan, that's very fast, but you want to get from one city to a small town or to a village, and you're taking the train, you're probably going to take a regionale, a regional train. And when you do that, often tickets, they might give you a ticket that could be used anytime. So it might be used at any time within the next so many months. And when you do that, because there's no date or time printed on them, because it's not a specific reservation, you have these machines where you insert the ticket, it stamps the time when you validated it, and then the ticket's good for a certain number of hours after you validate it. And you want to make sure you do that if you buy a regional ticket. These regional tickets might be available too at a coffee bar, at a train station, at a tabaccaria, a tobacco shop, at a edicola, a newspaper stand, or other places you could find these regional tickets as well for buses or for trains. I have this posted here because I walked up to a ticket counter. Wanted to go to Monza one day, and I asked what the schedule was, how I would do that, and they simply wrote it down for me. So there's low tech ways of doing things. And there are high-tech ways of doing things. Note how they write their ones. The handwriting is a little bit different in Italian. So that's kind of a fun little thing to take note of. Il treno. Il treno is how we say train. This is a faster train. The high-speed trains are quite nice. They have, they might have Wi-Fi on them. They have comfortable seats. They take reservations. And I think you'll find that they're one of the nicer ways to travel on trains. And then we have the regionale, the regional trains. Regional trains can be nice, or they could be dirty, or they could be run down and old. They turn into school buses sometimes in the morning, getting school children from one village to a town in the morning and the afternoon, so they could be packed and crammed with kids. Sometimes the air conditioning doesn't work and the windows, are open, or maybe they don't open at all. They can be quite an adventure, but they're useful because they're inexpensive and they can get you from many different parts of Italy that would be less accessible by these fast trains. Here we see the ticket officer going around checking tickets. This is important. They may scan your phone, or they may check your physical ticket if you have a physical ticket. This happens more likely on the high speed trains. It's going to happen almost for sure. On the regional trains, on buses, it might not happen as much, but you want to make sure you always have that ticket. I've seen them call the police, and folks gotten some hefty fines for not having tickets when they traveled. L'autobus, taking the public bus, can be another good solution when you want to get a bit further out of town or get to a village or into a different neighborhood that might not be accessible by a train. A couple of things to note: you see entrata and uscita, the entrance and the exit, so make sure you're going the way the traffic goes. Inside, you see this yellow box here inside the window. And just like the yellow box you saw for the train, when you buy a local bus ticket and you buy it for a few euro at a coffee bar that has that sells tickets, tobacco, the ones that have the tobacco signs with big T's, typically sell them, or the newspaper stand, or other places you might find them at. We'll go on the bus, and it won't have a specific date or time, and you'll stick it in the box. It'll print it, and it'll be validated. And the driver will watch as you do that. Next, we have a sign here that is a bus schedule. So what do we see on the bus schedule? Well, we see a few things. We see that this bus starts in Como and it goes to some different places. So one day I happen to want to go to Cantu. Cantu is a nice village. It's pretty, and it's a little bit outside of Como. And so you too far to walk, and I wanted to take a public bus. So to do that, what do? Well, you have the schedule here that has the different times. But note that you see festivo. Festivo means holiday schedule. And you need to take note of these things on bus schedules, because holidays, we have a list of when different holidays are, but also Sundays are holidays. So be careful of that. And then what else do we see? We see the different bus lines, the C40, C45, C47, C presumably is for Como. And then up here, we see rivendite. Rivendite would be the retailer. Where could you get a bus ticket? Well, they sell them at Bar Duomo and Bar Moderno. Uh, and then they have the address, the indirizzo, chiusura when it's closed, Sundays. We also see here, le linee non circolano il 25, so the lines don't circulate the 25th of December, the 1st of January, and the 1st of May. The 1st of May is Labor Day in Italy. And that's it as far as some really basic stuff regarding trains and buses. Hope it's helpful. If you're looking for more tips, you can find them in a guide to Italy. So I have a little bit of a more expansive explanation there. That's it. Buona giornata. Ci vediamo.